Follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. Don't forget to like. Tron Ares. Is it as bad as people are saying? I'll start with my conclusion. The story is absolutely dog doo-doo. Everything else is fantastic. The combat choreography, Nine Inch Nails as the original score, the cinematography is beautiful. Everything except the story is good. The story is just terrible. I guess the casting also too is half and half. I know there's a lot of people that hate Jared Leto. I'm not really sure why. I don't really follow the Jared Leto lore. I do like him in quite a few number of films. I probably like him in more films than I don't like him in. But as far as my understanding, a lot of people hate him because he has, I guess to my understanding, a harem or something like that. To be honest, I don't really know what the drama is. I just know that he's hit or miss for me when it comes to films. Anyways, I'll start with the things I did like about the film, and then we'll talk about this serious dog doo-doo. So one cool thing, it's not really relevant to the story, but Ares himself is a big Depeche Mode fan, which I appreciate. I just can't get enough. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, the one moment, or not the one moment, but the small cameo that Jeff Bridges' Kevin Flynn character comes back as, he has an interesting conversation with Ares, which is about why does a program want to live? Because when Ares enters the retro 80s Flynn grid, he basically has to convince Flynn to help him become a permanent life form. But what's interesting is that Kevin Flynn basically tells Ares is there's nothing permanent about life, which, we all die. But when you only have one life, it does make every choice you make much more important. There's no turning back when you've made a significant decision. Anyways, that's pretty much the only thing I kind of enjoyed about the film, other than, like I said, the cinematography, the music, and the choreography. Before we talk about the bad stuff, I kind of just want to break down in as simplest terms as possible what the Tron series has been leading up to. In the original Tron film, we're introduced to a lot of the characters that carry out throughout the rest of the Tron series until Ares. So we are introduced to Kevin Flynn, Alan, I forget his last name, Clue, and Tron. These four characters are the series. It's what everyone returns to the series to see. Now we get a couple of people later in Tron Legacy, but the base of Tron is Kevin, Alan, Clue, and Tron. In their first venture together, they defeat a corrupted AI, and it basically opens up the world to the possibility that programs can exist with them. In Tron Uprising, which is this series that takes place between Tron and Tron Legacy, we actually have a bit of a problem with this series here because it kind of ruins a little bit of the canon of the two films. But what we get is what was happening in the grid before Legacy, which is Clue's quest for dominance in the grid. In Tron Legacy, we are introduced to Sam Flynn, who is the son of Kevin Flynn, and briefly we are introduced to Ed Dillinger Jr. So we still have this Flynn versus Dillinger rivalry going on. And we're also introduced to Quora, who is a rare program that kind of is self-generated from a series of programs called ISOs. And her existence opens up a new world of possibilities that can be brought to our world. However, her life is in danger due to the dominance of Clue and his misinterpretation of what Kevin had desired for his plans to build the perfect system. Tron Ares, where they go with this, really messes up the ending of Tron Legacy, and I'll get into that. But anyways, after Tron Legacy, we get Tron the Next Day, which is a series of short films about Sam and Alan beginning a movement to take back Encom. All right, now that we're all caught up, I try to boil it down as simply as I could. Just try to keep some of those things in mind as I talk about Ares. Anyways, now, in Tron Ares, Sam Flynn resigns for some unspecified reason, and we're supposed to just accept it because it was kind of shown to us on a news briefing. So basically, in this new Tron film, well, one, we don't get Tron, we don't get any Flynnkin, so there's no Sam Flynn, and Kevin Flynn appears very briefly. So now a series that has been built on this rivalry between these two family names has been reduced down to just the Dillinger family. And it's not even the Cillian Murphy Ed Dillinger Jr. It's this new cartoonishly mustache twirling bad guy Dillinger, whose name I can't even remember other than Dillinger. Anyways, he creates Ares, which is kind of like his version, the Dillinger version of Tron. It's a security program which is given the mantle of master control. In this whole film, Ares, I guess it's about permanence. The theme is about permanence because that's kind of like the important conversation that Ares has with Kevin Flynn. But it's not really clear why they need this permanence code. That's what the whole film is. The plot for Ares revolves around this new girl boss who takes over Flynn and her rivalry with Dillinger, even though we have no history of why they're rivals, other than she took over for the Flynns. But the question kept on coming up is like, why do they need a permanence code? And why do they know to even look for a permanence code? Like, that question wasn't really answered. And just the necessity for a permanence code really just does damage to the entire story that's led up to Ares. Because in Tron Legacy, Clue's whole goal was to exit the grid so he could take over the real world. And in the end, Quora is the only one who makes it out of the grid. So wouldn't that mean she could only live for half an hour? Because she didn't have a permanence code. And Clue would have needed a permanence code when he exited the grid. So it's not like he could have taken over the world in half an hour. And even if he did, it's like, well, what do? You took over the world, and let's say you take over the world in 20 minutes. You got 10 minutes to own the world. It just doesn't make any sense. And then with Ares, it's not really clear why he defies the orders of the Dillinger grandson, because what was the point of singularity for Ares? We're not really introduced to a moment where he becomes sentient. It's kind of like he just suddenly has a conscience. He just suddenly feels guilt, even though he's kind of programmed to obey orders, which his partner, Athena, she has no problems following commands. She feels no guilt. She's somewhat like Clue. She kind of takes her orders to the extreme, to the point where she even disobeys. Not really disobeys, she's just following the command of the grandson Dillinger, even if he gets in his own way, according to her programming. Anyways, it appears that no one would have survived exiting the grid without the permanence code. So it really just messes up everything from all the other Tron entries in this series. And the ending in this film was a little too preachy for me. It's like, now that we have the permanence code, we've solved all of the world's problems. There can be world peace now, I guess. I don't know. It seems like that's what they were going for. But at the same time, it's like Kevin Flynn was saying, and nothing's really permanent. But there was a lot of potential for this to be interesting. Like I heard that Ares was originally part of the original planned sequel to Legacy. And I think just because they waited so long, they really just messed up, because them making Tron Uprising was probably the biggest mistake they could have made. They really should have just used the budget from that to create the third film. Waiting this long to then just dump everything that happened before and retcon everything. It's like, why didn't you just call this movie Ares? Because Tron's not in it, so you can't really call it Tron because Tron is nowhere in the movie. The film is about Ares, which you could have taken in a very interesting direction, but chose not to for some reason. I don't know why. And yeah, I don't know. It's just well-crafted piece of dog doo-doo is what this film is. Follow us on Twitter at Ghettoplex_MP4, on Instagram at Ghettoplex.mp4, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Ghettoplex.